Hello everyone, my name is Radovan Vojtko, I'm CEO and Head of Research at Quantpedia. Today I would like to show you a very simple market timing strategy. Firstly, what is the market timing? The market timing strategy is the strategy that tries to selectively enter the market at a time when it's advantageous, so when we expect positive drift, and stay out of the market all of the other times. So we have over 200 market timing strategies in our database, so they are quite common. The market timing strategy that I would like to show you is based on the idea that there is a drift around the monetary announcements of the central banks. So the biggest central bank, the best known, is the American central bank, so the Fed. There is significant drift before the FOMC meetings or around the FOMC meetings, and approximately 2 months ago we backtested the strategy, basically showed that there is a significant positive drift also during the announcements when there is a ECB meeting, or not during but before the ECB meetings. And what I would like to do today is to show you how does it look like for the other central banks. We use idea to position ourselves before the announcement of the central banks, and we use the idea from the US and from Europe, and we tried and backtested other central banks, and we checked whether there is a pre-announcement drift.
Unlock the power of Quantpedia Pro with over 900 premium strategies extracted from 100,000 research papers and more than 30 quant reports. Model full portfolios, generate real-time reports and save hours of work. Quantpedia Pro, your edge in quantitative investing.
So what are the other central banks? So we mainly tested the Swiss National Bank, then Bank of England and Bank of Japan. So we downloaded the data, we downloaded ETFs for MSCI Japan, MSCI Switzerland and MSCI United Kingdom. So those three ETFs, those are the primary ETFs that we will be using, and we are also trying to extend the results to Australia and Canada, and I will get to that later. Those are our data sets, and then we downloaded the data about the meetings itself, so when the monetary meetings took place. And here you can download the data about Bank of Japan, Swiss National Bank, Bank of England, Reserve Bank of Austria and Bank of Canada. So you have to download the data, and you need to have the data for ETFs you would like to trade, in our case the country ETFs. Okay, so how the analysis look like? So the analysis look like the same way as we usually do. So what does it mean is that we consider the day D0, the day of the announcement, and then we check or look out whether there is a significant drift before or after the announcement. Here we have an example of the announcement of the Bank of Japan. So we can see that on the day D0, there is very small drift, or very small positive drift. A few days after that there is a negative drift, but what is important is that there is significant positive drift 2 days and 1 day before the announcement. So this is the Bank of Japan. Here we have a Swiss National Bank. There is significant positive drift on the day of the announcement, and 2 days before and 1 day before there is a flat, and after the announcement there is usually negative drift. And regarding the UK, it is very similar to Japan. So we have a strong drift 2 days before, 1 day before. There is some drift on the day of the announcement, and there is negative drift after the announcement. The results are very similar to how it looked like with the European Central Bank. The pattern really resembles the pre-ECB effect or pre-FOMC effect. So it's very similar. How does it look like when we build the strategy? Idea for our strategy is that let's buy the ETF on day D3 at the close, and we can hold the ETF during the day D-2 and D-1, so during those 2 days. And here we have a performance. As we can see, there is not very strong performance in Swiss stocks, but there is a strong performance in Japanese and UK stocks. Just for a comparison, here we have how the performance look like on the day of the announcement. Here we can see that there is some drift also on the day of the announcement, but it's not so strong as during the pre-announcement period. Why does it work in this way? So firstly, we try to explain the anomaly by the exposure to a local currency. So when you are trying to buy the ETF, you are not buying just ETF, you are buying also the local currency. So one of the explanation can be that the local currency is stronger during those pre-announcement days. We just tested how does that pre-announcement drift look like when we do not trade equity ETFs but forex ETFs. So in our case it's FXY, FXB and FXF ETFs. So here we can see that the performance before the announcement is negative, here is the negative, and here is negative. Only the D-3 is significantly positive, but other days negative. The drift in currencies in days D-2 and D-1 is on average negative or flat. So in conclusion, the drift in ETFs is not due to currency fluctuation, but primarily an interesting drift within the equity market. We see that we have a drift in US, in Europe, in UK, in Switzerland and in Japan. And what about the Canada and Australia? For these two central banks, the histograms reveal the negative drift towards the day of the release. What is surprising is that the Canada and Australia, they have the negative drift before the day of the announcement. The question is why? So we have a hypothesis, and I think that the hypothesis is correct. The Canada and Australia are commodity producing countries. So I mean, they really produce a lot of the commodities and they export all of the commodities. So they adopt distinct monetary policy frameworks. When we compare that framework to commodity consuming economies like US, Europe, Japan, UK or Switzerland. And this is well founded in the literature. The central banks in the commodity exporting countries face different mechanisms, and fluctuations in commodity prices directly affect the monetary policy of those countries. So it makes sense that the Canada and Australia has a different pattern. And I mean, in contrast, large economic unions and commodity importing countries like Japan, they experience monetary policy primarily through the lens of equity markets and broader financial conditions. So what does it mean is central banks in those countries are more interested in how does the equities perform and less interested how the commodities perform. So that's the reason why there is strong drift in equity markets, but there is negative drift in equity markets in Canada and in Australia before the announcement. What is the conclusion? So our conclusion is that we may very well diversify the common Federal Open Market Committee meeting effect in the stocks. So I mean the strategy that's well known and is long here with us. So the strategy which buys the stocks before or during the day of the announcement of the Fed. So we can significantly diversify that with the pre-ECB drift. So buying the stocks before the ECB has an announcement, and also we can use the other countries, so especially the UK and Japan. So I hope that you like this analysis. If you would like to trade this strategy, I really recommend you to combine all of these central banks together. So build the database of announcements for Fed, for US Central Bank, for ECB, for European Central Bank, for Japan, for Switzerland and for UK, and you can trade all 5 of them together. You can have a very interesting performance, and your portfolio will be diversified and you will not be built just on one central bank. And I mean, what's the monetary policy of the one central bank? I hope that you liked the video. Please give us the like, please subscribe to our channel. You can visit also our other social media channels, visit our blog in case you are interested and you would like to see or read or backtest other strategies. You can visit our product page, Quantpedia, and you will get access to our screener and all of the other tools that we built. Thank you very much, and I hope that you will join me in the next video.
Are you interested? Then pick another video to learn more, or subscribe to Quantpedia Pro and try how our analytics and reporting significantly save time spent on quantitative research.